Hi there, my name is Toby and this is part 3 of my self-defense series that is dedicated to the sovereign warriors. Now this is a situation right here. This guy is a bailiff and he's waiting to evict some people from a house. Now this is being done illegally and unlawfully, and there's a lot of details to this that are worth investigating. Now this guy on the right here is the sovereign warrior. His name is Mikey, and he's explaining to the bailiff what is about to happen and how he's going to defend the situation and defend the property. So let's have a listen to Mikey now, this sovereign warrior, what he's saying to the bailiff.
Directing the CPS when bailiffs cannot enter the property by force, for example, pushing past you. Do you understand that? You try and harm one person here, I'll defend them people. Do you understand that? Right, if there's any children under 16 or vulnerable people, yeah, there's vulnerable people inside that house. We're here to defend them. Do you understand that? What's your name?
Mr. Carnell.
Where's your ID? Where's your ID? Where's your ID? Where's your ID?
I only show the person.
I'm a representative.
Have you got legal paperwork,
I
sure?
don't need legal paperwork. I'm outside the UK, mate. I've got paperwork right here, mate.
I can't show you my ID because you're not a party.
You're in the public.
You're not a party.
You're in the fucking public. Show me your ID or fuck off.
I found on Sunday. I can stand it.
Yeah, we're good. Well, you're acting as a bailiff right now, yeah? Are you acting as a bailiff right now? Are you acting as a bailiff right now? Are you acting as a bailiff right now?
You see how much confidence is required to be one of these frontline sovereign warriors. See, Mikey here has got so much confidence because he knows the law. He's got the law on his side. He's acting in the law, and he's got all the paperwork to back him up and point out the fraud that these bailiffs are working with. You see, it's actually a big deal. There's a massive fraud going on between the bailiffs, the financial system, and the state. And it's really done to take away our property, to increase the assets of the elite class and reduce the assets in the working class and the poor people. It's quite corrupt and quite a terrible thing that is going on here, and we need to stop and push back as best we can. Now this video comes from Banaman. I'm going to leave the link to this full video below so you can watch it in its entirety. And also, if you want to join this movement, and in particular join these guys, and these are called the Rapid Response Unit. So these are the guys that come out right to the front line and help you at the last minute when it's got so far that now the bailiffs have come. These guys can come and actually help defend your property. And they've had many successes in this because they are acting in the law. The law is actually on their side, not the side of the bailiffs. Remember, the bailiffs are actually acting as criminals here. This is a criminal enterprise. Just because it's called the state, just because it's called the bank, it does not make this lawful. And remember, there's a difference between legal and lawful. Lawful is the only thing that really applies. Lawful applies to the living man and the woman, and these are the real people, these are the sovereigns, and these are what the sovereign warriors are defending. And then legal applies to corporations, and these have got nothing to do with living men and women. It's something else altogether. Now I'm going to leave a link below also to my video series in natural law that I explain this and how this all works. But this is a big deal. There's a lot of fraud going on, and it's worth checking out Banaman's videos to learn more about this. So let's have a listen now to Mikey saying the final words of warning to the bailiff. Very important.
Have you already colluded with the police?
There's been no threats here today. We're just telling you we're defending the property, and there will be no peaceful entry. I've shown you from the Crown Prosecution Service what your rules are. If you choose to step outside your oath of office, be it on your shoulders, pal.
Is that a walking stick or a toothpick?
Toothpick, mate. I've got a little miss in the front tooth.
You got a big mouth. Right,
So you can see how much confidence is required. And in this series, I'm saying that body efficiency, body dynamics, body posture can dramatically improve your confidence. And a few simple ideas about self-defense can really improve your confidence. Now we're starting with something more dramatic here, because now we've got a lot of big weapon attacks. And this is a big weapon, a big blade. Now you look, if someone is really going to have a go at you with a big blade, you've got to realise there's not much you're going to be able to do. Now people say run away, but you can't always run away, and sometimes you've got to defend other people. If you run away, they've had it. So what do you do if you can't run away? Well, first of all, you've got to try and take the injuries on the arms. Don't take them on your head or your body. So it's tough luck. You're going to have some injuries. Now, secondly, you've got to get an equalizer. Now, here I've got a jacket, or a top. You can see you can use that to wrap up the blade and take a moment to take control and do something else, get the blade off the person. But again, you've got to realise, you've got to accept there's going to be some injuries. You can't get away without something happening to you. Now here's another example. If you've got a little bit more distance here and you've got another equalizer, you can even do something like this, trying to hook up and move the blade with your jacket and take your chance. But it's all risky. This is all very, very dangerous, and this is last minute resort. Now this doesn't apply so much to bailiffs because they're not going to come in with a big blade, but I wanted to put that in because it's a very important thing in today's world, how to defend yourself from a big blade. But now we're working on this sovereign self-defense. This is really about body structure and just standing up strong. It's quite simple. Now I'm working here together. I'm the guy on the right and my good friend here is on the left, but he's an older gentleman as well, and he's just recently suffered from a stroke, so we've got to train very carefully, and I'm trying to build up his mobility and his strength again from recovering from his stroke. So we can only do so much, but this doesn't matter. You see, this training is not about hard work. It's not about pushing you to the limits. It's about body awareness. You've got to find the correct body structure alignment. You see, I've got a nice tall vertical spine. I've got an open stance, a horse riding stance, so my hips are open at the front and the back. I've got a slight backwards projection of the hips, like I'm sitting down in a chair. Now I've also got my rib cage open, the shoulders up and back a little bit, and I'm breathing deeply into the back of the ribs, expanding my arms outwards. And even though my arms and legs are bent, we've now got some force against each other, but what we're doing is trying to distribute that force all the way through our whole body structure. Now this is key, because in this sovereign warrior self-defense, it's all about pushing and pulling. You're trying to stop people push past you. You're not allowed to strike. You mustn't be aggressive unless you really have to, but as long as possible you can't be aggressive. You just got to resist passively. Now we're trying pulling. So here we're grabbing the arms, but again, look at the similarities in the structure. It's the same basic vertical stance, vertical spine, sinking into a horse riding stance, and I'm using my weight. I'm shifting my weight between the hips. So now we're both trying to do the same thing, pulling against each other. So first we were pushing, now we're pulling. But in fact, the structure is the same. We've got to try and feel a method of holding our bone structure, regardless of whether someone is pushing us or pulling us. In other words, whatever is happening to us, we try to distribute that force evenly through the bone structure to the ground. Now, if we can do this effectively, it's very efficient, and of course you don't go anywhere. Now, Tai Chi is known for this, and internal Kung Fu is known for this, and you can see, if you look on YouTube, you can see some dramatic demonstrations of Tai Chi, how people can't be pushed. Now this is another one. Again, this is to do with relaxation. If someone is trying to control your body weight, this is moving to wrestling, so I'm just trying to lift him up. But what he's got to do is relax, go floppy. And true relaxation is also difficult. See, not only have you got to get the right structure, you've got to feel what it's like to relax. Now he's just got to go floppy, and you will see if you try this with a partner how difficult it is to lift them up if they are genuinely going floppy. Now it's quite hard work for him, so I'm just helping him to again recover and improve his health. So I'm also trying to improve his posture at the same time. But you can see the effect of relaxation. Now again, this is when you're facing the police, the domestic security forces, and they might be acting unlawfully and accosting you, but you're not allowed to fight back. This is one of the ways you can peacefully resist. Just relax, go floppy, collapse on the ground, make it hard work for them. Now you can see me having a go, so I'm relaxing completely, but he hasn't got the strength to really hold me. If I really fell down, he'd just come down with me. It's tricky to do. You might think this is easy, but relaxation is surprisingly difficult. To truly go dead, your whole body switch off, collapse completely. So this is worth a little practice. Practice this as well. And not only do we have to stand in the correct structure, the correct alignment. Now, if we can do this, we're not really using force, but we can also use relaxation. We can relax into the structure. Now there's the third thing I've been talking about in this series is spring loading, bouncing the joints. We also got to be able to move around. So this is working on the legs. It's a very little jump. So all I'm trying to do is jump, create a bounce in the legs, but it's not so much in the muscles, it's in the joints. Now the first one here is the hip joint. You see I'm just bending at the hips, levering slightly, so I'm going up and down, but you can see I'm levering forward but keeping a straight, a neutral spine. There's a slight backwards arch in the spine. And then what's happening is I'm going up and down from the hip joint itself. You see the hips, the glutes, I'm using the glutes, pushing the hips backwards and then pushing the hips forward to create a little bounce. It's not so much the thighs, it's the hips. And I'm also using the ankles, bouncing on the ankles themselves. So the ankles, the Achilles tendon, together with the hips, create a bounce in the legs, not so much the knees. This is very important. The knees are hard work, and the knees are the weakest part in the leg. The hips and the ankles are the strongest. We want to use the hips and the ankles to create a bounce. And this bounce we can use again in dynamic self-defense, dynamic martial arts. This is a very, very basic exercise, just literally jumping up and down. But I've got to feel it. I'm feeling an alignment, a spring load in the body. It's like a spring. I'm sinking down into the ankles and the hips, coming onto the ball of the feet, and then using the glutes, using the ankles to squeeze them and bounce up again. And when you get it right, it feels like a bounce. You can feel the bounce, it's effortless. And what I was showing there is 1 foot forward. You can bounce 1 foot forward into different movements. It's the same principle. So there's 3 things we're working on: relaxation, alignment, and also spring loading, bouncing in the joints, not the muscles. So I hope this made sense. Please do check out the other videos in this series, and I'm going to continue onwards with this series for people who are really interested in how this all works. I'm essentially trying to explain internal martial arts in a very simple way that we can get this all straight away or very quickly. Okay, I hope this made sense. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.